Ladies and gentlemen, when President Trump arrived in New York and took the stage, no one could have expected this. In the middle of his own speech, he did something unexpected that New York Democrat leadership Zohran Mamdani and Kathy Hochul had failed to do. And it showed a side of the president that the mainstream media consistently ignores. And so, even though this was an event for Bruce Blakeman, the Republican candidate running for governor of New York, who could possibly unseat Hochul and flip New York red, Trump stopped everything to acknowledge the parents of 12-year-old Jacob Freytes, who was killed by stray gunfire in the Bronx by a career criminal. And that moment immediately changed the entire tone of the event. And so, as always, if you do enjoy the content, go ahead and hit that like button. That's the best way you can tell me. For more, subscribe and make sure you hit all for those notifications, or else you won't be notified when I release a new video. And so let's get right into it.
And Hochul and Mayor Mamdani were against securing our border. They were against our massive tax cuts. They were against no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our seniors. They were against all of that. They fought it like hell. Is that right, Congressman? Am I right? Nick, right?
And that reaction right there is worth paying attention to, because if you only listen to the mainstream media, they'll have you believing that New York is completely hostile towards President Trump and that there is absolutely no appetite for his message anywhere in that state. But Trump walked into New York, took the stage, and in front of a packed crowd, when he mentioned the likes of Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani, those were the loudest boos of the event. And that matters because it tells you that there's real frustration when it comes to the Democrat leadership, especially among voters that President Trump and Bruce Blakeman are trying to reach. But now let me take you to that moment that changed the entire scope, the entire tone of the event. Take a listen to this. President Trump paused his rally to walk off the stage to personally console and acknowledge the parents of 12-year-old Jacob Freytes, who was killed by a stray bullet from a career criminal. And so Democrat leadership in New York, you didn't hear anything from them. Zohran Mamdani, Kathy Hochul, where's AOC, where's Hakeem Jeffries? All of these individuals are representatives of New York, and nothing from them. But it was the true native New Yorker. It was the president himself took the time to pause everything and did this. Take a look.
2 weeks ago, a wonderful 12-year-old boy named Jacob Freytes, you read about this one, was tragically shot and killed by a stray bullet fired by a repeat offender in a gun battle. He was having a gun battle with his friend, shooting bullets all over the place. Jacob was the son of a loving mom and a retired New York City police detective, and they are incredible people. And I think I heard that they may be with us today. Are you with us? May I introduce you? Please. Incredible, horrible story. What a horrible thing.
And so right there, you see President Trump pause everything, step down off the stage, take the time to acknowledge the parents who lost their son due to a career criminal out on the street ladies and gentlemen. And so I want you to take a listen to this right here, because the 12-year-old Jacob Freytes was fatally struck by a stray bullet outside of the Bronx bodega. The son of the retired NYPD detective, Jacob had just bought a ball from the shop when police say a gunman opened fire, striking him in the shoulder. He ran back in the bodega where he later died, leaving the father asking, "Where is Mom Donnie?" Take a listen to this.
Where is Mondami?
This is a memorial for 12-year-old Jacob Freytes. He was shot and killed when he was hit by a stray bullet outside of this bodega in the Bronx. Jacob lived around the block. He rode his bike here. He went inside to buy a ball. When he came outside, he stopped and watched what was a fight happening outside of the shop. That's when a gunman fired shots, striking Jacob in the shoulder. He went back inside the bodega, clutching his chest, and he died. 45-year-old William Ferrer is the suspected gunman. He was arrested and charged with murder, attempted murder, manslaughter, and weapons charges. Mayor Zoran Mamdani calls this a heinous act. Locals want tougher laws.
Where is Mondami? Where is the governor? When are they going to come out and say, if you get caught with an illegal gun in New York City, you're going to do 3 to 5 years mandatory? That's what we need. We don't need to hear stats. We have the lowest gun violence in history. We don't want to hear that.
For all of the blame that the mainstream media will put on President Trump for anything that happens in any state and say it's his fault, the reality is that your local, your state elections matter a great amount, more than what people realize when it comes to how that will truly affect your day-to-day life. And this is an example of that right here, when you have certain laws, certain policies, certain things are allowed to go down because of the leadership in that state. And this is really the perfect example of just that, when you have a governor in Kathy Hochul that goes a step further than just making New York City a sanctuary city, where now she's made New York, the state, a sanctuary state. And so take a listen to this.
He's in favor of the sanctuary city. She thinks the sanctuary cities are wonderful, which are killing our country. And less than 3 months ago, Kathy Hochul signed a deadly and sedacious new law making New York a so-called sanctuary state. So she took it from the city to the state, meaning Kathy Hochul wants to release migrant criminals from jail and set them loose on innocent New Yorkers all over. Every street has people that are not supposed to be here. And the reason they left their country is a lot of bad reasons. You know, I know a lot of the leaders of these countries. They're very smart. More than smart, they're street smart, very street smart, and they don't want these people. So what they did is they sent them into the United States of America through the open border. And people like Kathy Hochul, they want to keep them in New York. We don't want to keep them in New York. We don't want them. We don't want to take a chance. Yeah, maybe they'll get better. You know what the chances of? About 2%. Maybe they'll get better. But Hochul and the radical left stand with the gang members, child predators, violent felons.
And so President Trump mentioning, Kathy Hochul went as far to make New York a sanctuary state, ladies and gentlemen. And upstate New York sheriffs, they want no part of it. Take a listen. Look at this. Upstate New York sheriff puts Hochul in her place for sanctuary policy threats. And upstate sheriff put Kathy Hochul, the governor, in her place for trying to force counties to comply with Democrat-backed sanctuary laws, pledging he won't keep his mouth shut. And so this is not something that police throughout the state of New York are on board with, but yet because the radical left are on board with it, yet because it'll get her votes in a state like New York, she's okay with signing off on it. And so, of course, you know, you guys know Mamdani. He's going to back Kathy Hochul in this race. He's definitely not going to back the Republican candidate, Bruce Blakeman. According to Mamdani, he says, vote for Bruce Blakeman if you want more ICE to get rid of illegal aliens. As if that's a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. He's saying because Mamdani is all for protecting illegal aliens in New York City, and now we know Kathy Hochul is all for protecting illegal aliens throughout the entire state of New York. Well, they're hand in glove fit now, aren't they? And so take a listen to this.
The first question, yes, I do support the governor in her reelection, and I will be making that support clear at every opportunity that I have. And I also think there is a very clear choice here between Governor Hochul and Bruce Blakeman. Yesterday, I was standing with Governor Hochul as she announced that she was going to invest more than $7 million in funding to ensure that there are no unaccompanied minors without legal defense in our city. The Trump administration had made a decision that would strip these minors of their legal defense. Now, if a New Yorker looks at what ICE is doing and they want to see more of it, they should vote for Bruce Blakeman, who has created his own militia in Nassau County. If a New Yorker looks at what ICE is doing and is shocked by the inhumanity and the cruelty that is in the very heart of that agency's operation, then they should vote for Governor Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, and so right there, Zohran Mamdani is banking on the fact that he knows just by the numbers, at least for right now, maybe things change in the future, that New York is so liberal that he can literally get on stage and say, hey, if you want tougher ICE enforcement, then vote for the other guy. If you want to make sure illegal aliens are still allowed to stay in New York City, vote for Kathy Hochul. Listen, that probably works all well and good in New York City amongst the boroughs. But this is a state race. And that's a little bit different. And you already see, as I showed you guys before, upstate New York sheriffs are not happy with what Kathy Hochul is trying to pull with these sanctuary state policies now she's trying to push. And so will that be something that ends up pushing moderates and independents more towards Bruce Blakeman? We're going to get into those polling numbers, but first, you won't believe this, ladies and gentlemen, and I mentioned this in a previous video, but I have to mention it again here. Mamdani is getting pressure from radical leftist activists who want him to go even further on crime and enforcement as far as leniency and allowing them to be able to steal and calling it crimes of poverty that should not be prosecuted. I mean, take a listen to this.
We are calling what it is: broken windows policing.
Critics say it's a betrayal that the NYPD is still enforcing so-called low-level offenses, despite Mayor Mamdani's promise to shift the department's focus.
Mayor Mamdani was elected on a promise of making New York a livable city for all, ending the criminalization of poverty, mental health, substance use, and homelessness.
Criminal justice advocates with Court Watch NYC monitored 360 arraignments over 4 days and claimed that more than half were for misdemeanor offenses.
Most of what we saw were crimes of poverty. People who were stealing things like toothpaste, people who were stealing things like, soap. And that means if you're stealing those things, you need them.
Advocates believe that shoplifting or bringing bags of trash onto the trains or sleeping in the subway should not be criminally prosecuted. Neither should graffiti vandalism and public urination, even fare evasion. Former NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce disagrees, especially for repeat offenders.
Really, you have to go make those arrests. Otherwise, you have chaos in the street.
Yeah, so according to these people, you should just be able to steal things if you need it and not suffer any real consequences for your actions, as long as the reasoning is, hey, I'm poor and I needed this product, therefore I should be able to take it. That's the logic that they want to be able to be established throughout New York City, which is a quick and fast way for a city to spiral even further out of control, because what business is going to want to operate in that type of community if that becomes normalized? And that brings us full circle to this, ladies and gentlemen, where you got the New York Republican gubernatorial candidate. President Trump brings him on stage, Bruce Blakeman. He's actually closer to unseating Governor Kathy Hochul and turning the Empire State, New York, red, closer than what Lee Zeldin was in the home stretch of the last election. And so right now, ladies and gentlemen, you got Kathy Hochul. She is leading in affordable housing somehow, according to the latest polls. They believe that she would do better with affordable housing, price and cost of living. She has a slim lead. Public safety, very close. And undocumented migrants, once again, very narrow margins. But President Trump brought Bruce Blakeman on stage, who's running for New York governor. And so take a listen to this.
But that's why you're number one in the country. It's time for the people of New York to remind your politicians that their job is not to protect the criminals. Their job is to protect the good, hardworking people of New York. And that's why right here in Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman hired over 700 new police and correctional officers to keep New Yorkers safe. I don't know. Should we do this? Come on up, Bruce. Come on. Should we do it? Come up, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. See, Sid Rosenberg's here. What are you doing? You're supposed to be on radio. Listen, we are so honored to have President Trump join with us here today in these magnificent facilities that we have here in Nassau County to honor the men and women of our law enforcement professionals and firefighters. And especially we want to thank President Trump. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart because I meet mom and dads everywhere I go throughout the state. Thank you, Mr. President, for sealing our borders. There are less and less moms and dads that are burying their children from fentanyl and the illegal drugs that came through our porous borders during Biden-Harris. Thank you, President Trump, and God bless you for everything you do. We appreciate you. Keep going.
That's what you need. That's what you need. It'll be great. No doubt.
Right, and so there you guys have it. You got Bruce Blakeman running for the governor of New York, looking to unseat Kathy Hochul. Do you think he has a legit shot? Especially now, you got Kathy Hochul. She's becoming more liberal. She has now pushed these policies that make the entire state of New York a sanctuary state. Do you think that will have enough of a negative effect where those upstate New York voters outside of the 5 boroughs, they're going to lean more towards the GOP? And so let me know your thoughts down below. As always, smash that thumbs up button if you do enjoy the content. For more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.